good morning. Welcome to Hobby Evolution, episode 1366. I am awake and cheery because I slept in. Max nailed it. What is the greatest part about working for yourself? I can sleep in. And yes, I have no one to answer to. Max nailed it right here. That is the key. That is the greatest part about working for yourself. And that's exactly what I did this morning. I actually wasn't feeling all that well like yesterday afternoon and last night. I think it was probably just tiredness. I put in more physical activity Friday and Saturday than I've done the entire month of December. Awake at 4:30 on Saturday morning, long day. And then, of course, I had some beers after the Madison Card Show. So probably was dehydrated and just overall fatigued. I have been concerned since like Saturday. I'm like, well, even going back to Friday, I'm getting like, hey, I got some sick cancellations. A couple people were sick. I got a cancellation on Saturday morning. Can't make it. Had sick kids. Let's see. I had people that were at the show. They're like, yeah, I almost canceled because I've been feeling like shit all week. I'm like, oh man, I'm handling all of this money. And I'm like, I used hand sanitizer frequently throughout the day, and I still don't feel that was enough. And I'm just one of my group chats, 2 people got COVID positive tests yesterday. I'm like, God dang. So I'm going to just hibernate the rest of the winter. I can't do that. I got Cubs convention coming up. So I was just feeling like off, but it probably just tiredness. And I wanted to take a nap so bad yesterday afternoon, and Ernie was just crazed. He's like, he's not supposed to run. He does. He's not supposed to get the zoomies. He has. He can't jump. He does. But it's so I just wanted to take a nap, and he's fucking crazed. He's on 3 doses now of trazodone, and he's still getting the fucking zoomies all day long. Nothing can stop this dog. And so I finally had like a 10-minute snooze on the couch at like 5 o'clock. And my wife's making dinner. Ernie's at the door ringing the bell. I'm like, fuck. So I got like a 10-minute nap in. And of course, and this is how it always goes, you're so tired all day, and then it's bedtime and you're fucking wide awake. And that's exactly what happened last night. And I was on the couch until, usually, like, if I'm just chilling on the couch, I'm like ready for bed at 9 o'clock. Wasn't the case last night. And I got to reading something and ended up almost 10 o'clock. I get ready for bed, probably 10 o'clock when I get into bed. And I'm scrolling, I'm doom scrolling. It's like 10:30. I try to sleep. I can't. Doom scrolling more. My wife comes in, puts Ernie into bed. She's like, why are you still awake? I'm like, I can't sleep. I'm like warm. But it's not like sick warm. It's usually like dehydration warm, like your skin's hot type deal. And I'm like, I just don't feel well. And now it's going through my head. I'm getting sick. I'm around all of these people, crowded room at the show. I'm getting sick. And usually it doesn't happen like that. Usually now if I'm going to get sick from picking something up from the weekend, it's likely going to be, I'm going to start feeling it tonight or tomorrow morning. If I do, I bought some vitamin C gummies a couple of weeks ago. So I've been popping those, and hopefully that boosts my immune system. But so far so good. So didn't wake up this morning feeling like crap, although I woke up this morning feeling extremely tired. So that's why I slept in. That's why I'm late. I just wanted to shut the alarm off and sleep a little bit. So, and like Max said, I don't have anybody to answer to. And it's not like I have a honeydew list for she's going to be sleeping for another hour and a half. So I'm good to go. She slept till like almost noon yesterday. Almost noon. But I do think she actually does have some showings this week, which is she does a lot of clientele for like the hospital. So like they're hiring, year round. So even, this week where people aren't buying houses, there's relocation. So I think she does have a couple of those clients coming in this week. So, yeah. What else did I wanted to touch on? I want to talk a little bit about the year in review 2024, and we'll kind of prepare for 2025. And I've talked fairly regularly about what my prospects are for 2025 and what I want to do, what I plan to do, and talk maybe a little bit more about that tomorrow. I'm not going to take any unless I decide to sleep in tomorrow. Not going to take any day like New Year's Day. We are not going out New Year's Eve. Like I stopped doing that when I was at 29, probably. Maybe 30 or 31, but long ago. It feels long ago at least. So I'll be in bed normal time. So New Year's Day we'll do a show. And this weekend I don't think I have anything going on this weekend. So we'll go live this week. And then I think Cubs convention's actually coming up in a little less than 2 weeks now. I think I have to look at the calendar. So speaking of Cubs convention, it was confirmed, and we kind of knew Sammy Sosa would be back at Cubs convention. It was confirmed by the Chicago Cubs yesterday. Sammy Sosa coming back for Cubs convention. So that made my morning. And what made my afternoon? Matt Mervis. See ya. He's gone. Matt Mervis traded. And I don't know. I haven't read. I had all the time in the world last night, apparently, but I did not read into their return. Who anybody in the hobby probably has at least heard of the return for Matt Mervis. Vidal Brujan. He was Tampa Bay Rays and was in the same rookie class as Wander Franco. And so when you you start seeing a Tampa Bay Rays rookie card, it's like, oh, of course, now you'd rather have a Vidal Brujan than a Wander Franco. So he was in that rookie class. He was with most recently the Miami Marlins. That's Cubs traded Matt Mervis to the Marlins in return for Vidal Brujan, who it's basically a swap for crappy players on the 40-man roster. I initially said that was more of a return than I expected. I thought they would get like a warm body, like a minor league no name, like basically just here you go, here's a body. But somebody had mentioned, I don't know if this is true. You can't believe everything you read on the internet. I'm not sure if Vidal Brujan is out of options. So if he's out of options, it's basically like a throwaway trade because he will not be, my opinion, my prediction, Vidal Brujan will not be a Chicago Cub on opening day. He'll be in another, my prediction, he'll be with another organization, whether it's via trade or they just release him. They now have a glut of shitty infielders, backup infielders on their 40-man roster. I shouldn't say they're all shitty, but it's basically, there's basically 5 infielders on the 40-man roster. Miles Mastrobuoni is probably the best of the 5. He has options, so he can stick on the 40-man and go to Iowa and be like, whenever you need him, which is at this point in time the likelihood. Next in line, you've got Gage Workman, who was a Rule 5 pick, so he's got to be on the active roster the entire season. Otherwise, the Cubs have to return him to the Detroit Tigers. So I think they will keep him for spring training to have a battle. Okay, do we have he's only played as high as Double-A, so you really don't know. It's kind of a lottery ticket. Go into spring training and see how he performs. But I don't see him. Rule 5 picks typically get returned. Who else do you got? You got Luis Vasquez. He's I wouldn't even really consider him. I mean, he is a prospect, but he's not. At best, he's a journeyman. He's a Miles Masterboni type. And then you've got Ben Cowles, who probably will be the same, but he's younger. So there's a little more optimism, I guess, regarding him. The Cubs did protect him and put him on the 40-man because he's only been as high as AA. And then who am I missing? I'm missing one more. Oh, probably Brujan. So I'd say he's the first to go. Of that 5, Brujan is the first to go because Vasquez, Cowles, and Masterboni all have options. They just drafted Gage Workman in the Rule 5. If he goes, they just have to give him back to the Tigers. So, but I'm happy. I'm happy. And I don't understand why people are like upset about this trade. Or predicting Vidal Brujan's going to be on the big league roster and be like a backup infielder. Matt Mervis there was not a world where Matt Mervis was going to be on the opening day roster or probably at any time in 2025 was going to be, he was the backup first baseman. No, he was not. He was not. Basically pretend there was no backup first baseman because that's what we were going into 2025. We knew the writing was on the wall last year based on how they treated Matt Mervis. They would sign journeyman if need be. So he was not in their plans. So basically you just dump him off. So Matt Mervis gone. Good. What else is going on? Yesterday I did a lot of shipping in the morning. I still have a ton of shipping. It's been a great week. Christmas week has been phenomenal. And I haven't looked at yesterday's numbers, but I assume yesterday's numbers. I know I don't think yesterday was as good as Christmas and the day after Christmas, but I do know it was better than average. So that's good. Yeah. So actually, wow. Sunday, Saturday, Friday were all pretty similar sales days and all slightly above average. And then Christmas Day and Christmas day after Christmas were phenomenal. Looking at my monthly, now this is perfect to track November because at the end of November, I had the Black Friday sale, so we can really get a good gauge. Right now, I'm still 18% better in the month of December compared to this same time period in November. I'm still 18% higher than November in net sales. Quantity sold is up 1.5%. So those are phenomenal numbers. So that's awesome. We'll talk a little bit more about my eBay numbers and what I have planned for 2025. A little review of 2024. There's my eBay store, 99centcards.com. I did add about, I think, 50 of the vintage football cards I picked up over the weekend. At least one has sold. I know basically within 5 minutes, the Earl Campbell sold. So then it's like, did I underprice that? And I still made, I think after fees and everything, I still made almost $2 profit on that card. So that's, a huge margin. So percentage-wise. So that's good. I'm not sure if any of the others have sold or not. I'll have to take a look. But those are in my store, 99centcards.com. Buy 7 or more at regular price. Save 25% at checkout. That applies for buy it now only. I do have about 250 auctions running right now. I did not list any auctions last night. And I probably will list some auctions that go live tonight. And then, of course, I will list auctions for Tuesday night because next Tuesday we'll go back to eBay auctions live. Let's go to the chat. And Max answered it earlier. This is exactly the greatest part about working for yourself. I can sleep in and answer to no one. Dave, good morning. Cooter says, is it still morning? It does feel a bit off. It won't feel off for me. It won't feel complete. I won't feel completely behind until I wrap this up, make my mushroom coffee, and sit down to start shipping. And it's going to be 10 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I've lost 2 hours of the day. So that's when it comes back to bite me in the ass. Donald, good morning. Tracy's in the house. Good morning. Victor is here. Good morning. Brian's here. What's happening, Brian? Donald says, a slow card show Sunday at the Route 66 Hotel in Springfield, Illinois, but still did okay. I saw the pictures Donald posted in the Hobby Evolution Facebook group. If you're not a member, go and join if you're on Facebook. Just type in Hobby Evolution on Facebook. Some good stuff going on in there. I saw a picture. Somebody had like a 2-row of Michael Jordan cards for $1 each. I'm not driving all the way to Springfield to get that deal, but I'd be all about Michael Jordan cards for $1 each. For the most part. George is here. What's happening, George? Good morning. Tracy says, goal is to organize this week before I head back to school next week. Hopefully, I don't get distracted by searching eBay. Here's, the problem I have with searching eBay. I'll be like, man, I wish I had $100 just to, and I mean, like $100, I find it on the ground. Now it's, I could go buy something, but you know what I mean. I wish $100, I get some birds, little making a nest. Speaking of that, this is my ADD moment of the morning. There were more birds at my bird feeder this morning than I think I've had any day since like August, September. No birds at my bird feeders. And now I don't know if there's any out there now. There's one. And he just flew away. Oh, no, there's one eating food right now. There's a couple out there. But there were like 5 or 6 this morning. And my squirrel. Like August, September, no birds. These must be the winter birds. And then there's a couple of them are hanging out looking for nests up here right now. The winter birds of Wisconsin. Anyway. Sorry, my squirrel moment, ADD moment of the morning. So I always think like, man, if I get $100 gift card to eBay, what am I going to use it on? And like, it'll be like November and I'll be like, oh, I'm going to buy this and then this and this. Oh, I'll use it on this. When I get it in hand, it's got $100. It's actually a Visa gift card. My mom got me. And, then all of a sudden, it's like when I have it in hand, it's like I'm going to go shopping on eBay. I have no idea what I want. Everything that I previously thought I wanted, it's like, I'll use it for something better or different. Here's what I went shopping. I did go shopping and I filled my cart and then realized I had like $400 worth of items. And it's like, I'm trying to stop spending on Cubs. Looking back, reviewing 2024 spending, especially the first quarter of 2024, I spent a lot on Cubs. And I don't need to spend that much money on my personal collection. So I'm like, I'll spend, $100 on minor league sets because there's a lot of holes I have to fill on minor league sets. And so I start filling my cart, and going through, and I'm like, man, I need a lot of minor league sets still. And I did this a few years ago. I actually did this with a Visa gift card when I had my office job. We got like a bonus, just like and we had our quarterly bonuses at the company I worked for. But a couple times we got just like a random bonus. So that means the company was doing really well. It's like, okay, if I got a $500 random bonus on top of my regular bonus, we were doing something good that year. So I had like a $500 Visa gift card. And I spent like $300 on minor league sets going back to the 80s. And so what I did, STB Sports is the website, has an awesome selection of minor league team sets. And so I went and bought like $300 worth of team sets going back to the 80s on what I needed for Cubs. But I haven't bought any since. That was like 4 years ago. I haven't bought any since. So I'm missing a lot of like late 90s and early 2000s. And then there's some like random, and I really need to get a little more organized so I know. But I do know which sets that I do know some of the sets that I need. So that was something that I was shopping for. So I'll go back and I haven't thought of anything else I want to spend that money on. And it's stuff I need for my Cubs collection. Plus it's easy to get those updated to trading card database. And I love the minor league team sets. So, I can $100, I can get 10 sets You know, that's in another 300 easy cards. I think I've got 10,000 of my Cubs logged on trading card database, only 999,900 to go. Whatever the number is. Low rollers in the house. It's been a while. Any comp police in the chat? I pulled this card from a hanger box. How much is this card worth? $3. Final answer. Oh, he gives us the card. 2024 Topps Update Duo, immediate hit yellow crackle of 50. Skeens Grandal Pirates. I have no idea. Go to eBay. Check it out. Victor has 3 coworkers with COVID. Oh, yuck. Peter, good morning. Right on time. Little late, but right on time. L1C, what's up? Get THC treats for Ernie. We have a lab with anxiety, but not when she is high. The funny thing is when he was a puppy, well, he's still a puppy. When he was a younger puppy, we were at PetSmart and I saw those and I told my wife and I'm like, maybe we should get these. And it's like, let's talk to the vet and see, you know, if, and I'm sure the instructions are on there, but that might be a good angle. THC treats and get him a little high because he's okay. Like he's okay when he goes to doggy daycare because he gets all that energy out throughout the entire day. So when he comes home, he's like exhausted. But when he's home all day, it's like, try to calm him down. Jody, what's happening? Good morning. Paul Carl's in the house. What's happening? Good morning. Paul says, sleeping till noon. Man, I miss those days. Even when the kids don't wake me up at 4 a.m., I still wake up on my own then. I have not slept until noon. God, I couldn't tell you the last time. I mean, 8:30 is pretty much the latest I ever sleep in. 8:30 is probably maybe like Anawan Fun Days, maybe the Sunday or Monday after Fun Days. I'll sleep till 10. But typically 8:30 is about the latest I sleep in. My wife usually works like 18 hours a day. So when she has the ability to sleep till noon, she will. And this is certainly a good time for her to be able to sleep in. Where are we at? Low Roller says, should I sell the card next month in the card show? I hope I get at least a few $100. Yeah, I mean, now's the next month would actually be a perfect time to sell. And Paul Skeens is still really hot right now. Baseball, this is the best time to buy baseball. Although it's in recent years, the floor has come up. Now the ceiling is still lower. You're still able to find some great deals, especially on eBay auctions, which is why I'm very careful with what I'm listing at auction. So now is the time to buy. But you go to card shows, and it's kind of the reverse. People are buying on eBay, but they're buying because they're getting good deals. You go to card shows, and people are buying. Like, this is a good time to buy baseball because people are wanting to stock up, and maybe you miss out, and you miss out on a couple $100 or $10 or $20, $50, whatever it might be. But I'd rather have that cash today than speculate in 3 months later. Who knows what could happen. Johnny M says, good morning. Real nasty head cold over here that time of the year. Oh man, that sucks. And that's what I'm afraid of getting. I bought a thing of vitamin C gummies. And I'm like, I used to take vitamin C like back in the day, like when I was in my 20s, I had a shitty diet. I drank a lot. And in the winter, I was doing play-by-play high school basketball games. So I was in like the most germ-infested areas that you can be in, schools. So I had like a triple whammy: bad diet, germ-infested zones, and then I'd go drink and probably be around people at the bar. So I would get sick. So try to avoid that. Don't have to worry about any of those today. Even my diet, I'm improving on the diet. Brian says Vidal Brujan is better in my opinion. I only say this as from a utility aspect. Talking Matt Mervis and Vidal Brujan. The only reason Vidal Brujan is better is because he has more utility. He can play multiple positions where Matt Mervis is a first base DH. But otherwise, what they bring you offensively is shit, and it's negative. So the only positive to Vidal Brujan is utility. I still don't expect to see him with the Chicago Cubs. Holmes in the house. What's happening? Good morning. Lots of scanning on the schedule today. Hey, like to hear that. Jordan Brown says LRS 20 to 40 raw, possibly more if you find the right buyer. So there you go. John says, I don't recognize any of the players you are guan about. Well, because you're not a Cubs fan and you don't open Modern Recs, so you don't know who Vidal Brujan is. Low Roller says, why only $20 to $40? I expect more than $100 since it is a rare card. Well, sometimes that's not how it works. John is pivoting, like Bo taught me, listing available trades on TCDB. Figured it's much easier than listing on eBay. I'm a collector, just for context. There you go. And I am not like, that's not my, I am a collector. I am a Cubs collector. But I'd rather just pick up cards. I'd rather buy cards than trade for cards. Unless it's in person. Unless we're at a card show or wherever, like, hey, I've got this card. It's like, If it's in person, it's like, hey, you've got this Michael Jordan card. I'll trade you for this Mark Zagunis. I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'll trade that. But I'm not going to trade you a Michael Jordan card and mail it. It's like, I'll just sell it. And then I'll buy the Zagunis somewhere. So, but TCDB, great place. If you're looking to do trades and that's like the best way to do it. And, I think it's pretty vetted. And well, I don't know how the vetting works at all, really. I guess they have a feedback system. But it just seems like there's more honest. It's more reliable. Are there bad eggs? Yeah, every platform is going to have bad people on it. But I feel like TCDB is probably one of the safer places to conduct trades. Johnny says, hoping this is the end of the Aaron Rodgers era. Jets currently hold the 7th pick in the draft. Hopefully they don't screw up and win the last game. How about, and I was thinking about this because I didn't have to watch the Bills-Jets game, but I chose to watch the Bills-Jets game. The Bills-Jets game last night or yesterday afternoon. And man, what a shitty game. And the Jets have now the 7th pick in the draft. The Bears still have the 9th pick. The Bears have lost 10 games in a row, 11 games in a row, and they're still at number 9. Like, how shitty is that? You start the season 4-2 and then lose every game. And they'll probably lose to the Packers this Sunday, and still have the number 9 overall pick. What shit is that? John says, you said yesterday you knew vintage. I'm confused how a knower of vintage would underprice an Earl Campbell rookie. It's a highlight card. It wasn't a rookie card. I didn't underprice it at all. And if I did, I've got a second one because I bought 2 of them for 75 cents. Is it $3.31? Let's see. Come on. Sold. 1979 Topps record breaker Earl Campbell. Mine sold for $4. One sold for $7. This one sold for $8, $10, $5. I mean, that one sold for $6. Like, I underprice things all the time, like on purpose, like $4. Like, if I priced it at $6, it's probably going to sit. I price it at $4, it sells in 5 minutes. I'd rather sell it in 5 minutes for $4 than get a $4 offer and like, oh, I'll take a $4 offer a week later. So that's not underpricing. John says, Ernie looked like he was like he liked watching football. You finally have a doppelganger. Yeah, Biscuit didn't even watch TV. Ernie is enthralled with TV. And like he was watching football for and I think the video was like 45 seconds long. And I think he was in that state for like 10 minutes, like just watching. And he'd like do that. Might have to put more football on for him. Another great midweek holiday situation. I'll be paying starting on Thursday. Jordan says LRS one sold for 85 and another 38.50. So that's currently your window. So there you go, 40 to 80 bucks. Orlando's here. What's happening? John says another advantage of working for yourself. You don't have to be worried about your lack of productivity when being distracted by the outside. See, there you go. Get back to work. You should sell the Visa gift card your mom gave you. ROI would be epic. Max says a lot of snow melt that will bring them back during winter. Also, filling the feeders does help. And I did refill the feeders a few weeks ago. So I wanted to get the feeders. I noticed they had, I think from all the rain, and since there wasn't inactivity and the rain kind of had it all clumped together. So I put fresh feed in there, probably, it might have been around Thanksgiving weekend. So there is fresh feed that they can access. Low Roller says, what is your email address? I send you the picture, how much this card worth. Jordan just told you, 40 to 80 bucks. STD Sports, Magic Johnson running things over there. STB, LRS, hit me up. I'll give you his cell number so you can text him. Only way he responds. And sometimes I don't even respond to that. Tracy says, I think I've spent $75 or so on Michael Garcia Chrome Autos over break, starting a rainbow. Gone down a rabbit hole. Very nice. Johnny M says, LRS, eBay has one listed for $119. John says, Ernie isn't 18 yet. How the hell is he allowed to consume the weed? Jordan says, Johnny listed and sold two different things. Low Roller says, is it a different card? My card looks orange with a bunch of sprinkles. Red lights in the house. Good morning. Johnny M says, same card. If you can do YouTube, I know you're able to search eBay. Yeah, come on, man. You do videos on YouTube. If you can do videos on YouTube, you know how to search eBay sold listings. Low Roller says, I have bad days on 2 days. I lost $200 on skill games. I will be back looking for free bonuses again. Uh-oh. Can you write that off? Write your losses off. LRS, what number is it? Red light, what's up? US 160. There you go. Let Ernie be Ernie. He's just a puppy. There you go. That's good advice. John says, you had a shitty diet into your 40s as well. I did. 20s, 30s. I had phases where I did okay. I did better. But for the most part, 90% of the time, shitty diets. Orlando, as usual, is correct. 50. There you go. Scott Hermanson, what's happening? Good morning. Can someone just give LRS his ask, please? I agree on the trading versus buying. However, I have so many cards from the last 40 years that I can trade in theory for holes in the same sets. And that's exactly how I feel. But I just don't like, I'd rather spend the time selling cards than trading for cards. But it's my business. So obviously we're different in that regard. My idea was like, I was going to trade my Cubs duplicates for Cubs that I needed. And that's just like, it's just so difficult to I don't want to do like through the mail. Like, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to do through the mail trades. I'd rather do in-person trades. And so it's hard, like, to have like something somebody else wants, like in my case, and they have something I want. It's just not easy. So just just buy the cards I want. John says TCDB equals collectors, rest of the hobby investors. That is your difference. There you go. Right is LRS. It is 1 out of 50 or 49 of 50. 32 of 50. John coming in hot today. Campbell only had Topps cards for 1 year. It was an epic flex on his part. Yeah. And unfortunately, mine are the not true rookie cards. Mine's the leader cards, but $4, easy money on a 75-cent purchase. The bottom of the NFL is all bunched up. You make your money in the draft 10 to 20. Of course, that's where good teams get better than good. Bears, not good yet. They are not good this year. Max says, one of the most successful card buyers, sellers once told me the best card is a sold card. You made plenty on the Campbell and it worked for your business. Amen. And that's like, why hold out for another dollar when you can make the money right now? Like, why list a card if the sold are $6-7 and the listings, and there's probably cheaper. I bet there's cheaper listings on eBay right now. Let's look at that. Damn it. I gotta click the other one. Do buy it now. There's one on eBay right now. $409 shipped. $489. $290. Oh, that one's really beat up. $299. $340. $539. $5. So mine was right in line with everything else. So amen. I made $1.75, I think, after fees and supplies and cost of goods, $1.75 profit on a 75-cent purchase. It's a pretty damn good return. And I did it in, it took me a total of 60 seconds to list, pull, pack, and ship. And there was no cost of acquisition outside of the cost of good. There was no like anything else. I was at the card show anyway. So there you go. John says, does Dogtopia send you emails about reducing Ernie's screen time at home? No, they do not. Jody says, my Giants had the number 1 pick going into yesterday and had to get a meaningless win and mess that up. Yeah. And the Raiders were in the hunt for the number 1 overall pick. They've won 2 straight weeks and they're down to what, number 8, the 8th overall pick. Max says, if you had to sit and price every card you list to market, you wouldn't have a business or time to enjoy your pet rat and beer. See, there you go. There you go. Uncle Rich, good morning. Jordan says, who's the Bears coach going to be? That's the most important question. I think it'll be Ben Johnson. And, Pete Carroll's name has come up, and I wouldn't be disappointed with either. I don't want Mike Vrabel, but Ben Johnson, that's kind of who I want, like a young offensive mind as head coach to, that Caleb Williams can be coached under. But then Pete Carroll, like the organization, not just the roster, but the organization is a fucking mess. And Pete Carroll might bring a little more stability. Eberflus was so passive. But maybe that's what the organization wants in their head coach. Somebody they can just pull the strings. We want a puppet. So I don't know. Low Roller says, Bitcoin bad week. The year of Bitcoin and crypto in 2025. It's a huge moneymaker next year. Well, it's been a moneymaker in 2024. Is it going to be a bigger moneymaker? Cooter loves trading on TCDB. It saves me tons of money filling out my modern team sets. I would rather save those bucks for vintage. Bad for Bo sales, good for me. Rich Klein says, John, coming in hot today. Come on, man. How is this different than any other Bo webcast day? John comes in hot every morning. If I pay $1 for a card and the average is $6 to $7, I can sell it $5, and that's 5x and good enough for me. And that's exactly how I think. Absolutely. Because you can get those sales faster. And the buyer wins and you win. Win-win. Yeah, but Drew Lock looked good, and just maybe he is the answer. I hope so. I've got a PSA 10 Prism rookie that I bought on speculation, thinking he's probably going to be a starter at some point this year. I think I paid, what did I end up paying for it? $15? Let's see. Drew Lock, Prism rookie PSA 10. Oh, there's one listed unsold right now for, oh man, probably going to take a loss on that one. We've got one listed for $12.50 shipped, $19 shipped, 14.25 shipped. So I'll just sit on it for a little longer. Jordan says, how long do you see yourself being a full-time card seller? Is there a plan to stop? Plan if you stop making X, I will go back to 9 to 5. No plan. I plan on doing this forever, I guess. Things would go really wrong if I decided to stop and go back to a 9 to 5. I have no, right now there's like a 0.1%. There's always a chance, but right now it's a 0.1% chance. Sales are still on the rise. Year over year sales are still climbing. My card show sale numbers are climbing. My card show, Madison Card Show, has grown. So no plans. Is there a number? I mean, if the Madison Card Show ceased to exist, if eBay numbers were cut in half, yeah, there might be like, but you also have to build your business where you can weather the storm. If I have a shit year, I'm prepared to have a shit year. I think if you're working essentially week to week, paycheck to paycheck as a business, you're not in a good position. You've got to go into opening a business if you're doing cards full time. And I think that's the most important part of running a business. Running a small business is give yourself capital at the start. Like, you can't just go in with like, oh, I think I'm going to quit my job and start selling cards and not have a reserve built up, and I would suggest at least a year and probably more so than a year of like what do you pay in bills for the entire year? Every single expense you have, groceries, gas, driver's license, your regular monthly bills, a reserve for what if the refrigerator stops working and I need fridge. So that's, you have to go in with all that money banked, and then grow your business. So your business money, you can use that if a collection comes up and it's like, here's $10,000 collection. Well, I've got to pay bills this month. So you've got to have your business so set aside because you got to pay those bills. So that's most important. Yeah. So I like Cooter's comment here. If you had a planned exit, you wouldn't be committed. Amen. Like, that's, there is no plan B. And I said that when I first, announced that I was quitting my job and selling cards full time. Like, this is it. Like, there is no 1 year, I'm going to test this out for a year. Like, no, this is it. Like, this, I'm committed and we're going to do this. And like, if I had to go back, I don't even know what I would do. I'm not going back into transportation, I can tell you that. But like, I don't even want to think about it because there just isn't, it's just not part of any plan I have. Let's see. Where are we at? Uncle Rich says, here's the thing, as Bo learns about more about each market he is involved in, card shows, vintage cards, etc., he can then use his diverse hobby skills to adapt a new way of running his business. And that's all about growing a business, is finding out about 1972 high numbers, and it's just not these all pros, there's other high numbers too, and they're worth more than $2. And you learn about the vintage markets, and you learn about promoting card shows and sponsorships, and maybe down the road autograph signings. I had more people asking me about that this past weekend. Just different ways to, because there is going to be a time where card shows are not going to be as popular as they are right now. There's going to be a time when eBay sales or card sales in general take a dive. Like, it's a roller coaster. And when you're dealing in, your business is on luxury items, you've got to be prepared to ride that roller coaster. Max says, have this conversation at almost every show. So many negatives to opening a shop at this point. I would, and that's something that I'm not going to say never, but there's a 0.1% chance that I'm opening up a brick and mortar shop. The closest I would come to opening any type of brick and mortar would be as like an office space. It would not be a card shop. It would be just an office space, basically a small office space. You know, but I can kind of utilize that. And now it's like, you know, that was earlier this year. That was kind of something that I was thinking about. Like, well, maybe I could open an office space just to have off, like, you know, by appointment only type deal. Like, hey, to do deals like here's my stuff, and I could keep some bulk in the office and, you know, do some sales out of the office space. I opened up a storage unit, rented a storage unit, and I can do that from my storage unit, and it's a lot cheaper, and there's no overhead, there's no lighting, there's no water, there's, you know, none of that. So I can do that straight out of the storage unit and pay $125 a month and do all of that. So, God, I would never open a shop. I mean, even during the boom, it's like, you know what? We saw this in the 90s when the hobby boomed in the early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s. Shops were opening up. I lived in, it would now be a card shop desert because there's not a single card shop that I'm aware of in like the county I grew up in. In 1990, I think there were 13 card shops in my county. And well, in my county, probably more than that because I'm part of it's a big geographic county. Orion was another. There might have been some card shops in Orion. I don't know. But like Geneseo, like my little triangle, Anawan to Geneseo to Kewanee, that little triangle, there were 13 shops at one point. 13. That's a population base. That triangle is a population base of right around 20,000, maybe even less than 20. And back then, I don't know what it would have been, but Kewanee's about 12,000, Geneseo 6,000. Atkinson is right between. There was a card shop in Atkinson. It was 1,000, Anawan 800. So right around 20,000. And now there's 0. Uncle Rich says it can be more shows to run. It can do more vintage cards. It can be learn how to flip bulk on the bottom end. And that's the thing. There's so many different ways to make money in this hobby. It's not just selling $1.75 cards on eBay. It's not just promoting card shows. It's not just buying raw and grading and flipping. It's not just doing bulk. There's so many different ways to make money. And that's why I love it. And you can, if something's not working, you can pivot. And, you know, I'm doing that when I start noticing my sales, my total sales for a day. Like if I start seeing a couple days of low number net sales, it's like, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to sell some higher dollar items. And whether that's, you know, a $20 card, or I've got another Eric Davis I sold over the weekend for $50. I've got a third one I can list. You know, I can put lots together. And, you know, every once in a while they'll sell. The sell-through's it's not fast. My business is I want to list and sell as fast as I can. I don't want things sitting. Do I have inventory sitting? I have a lot of inventory sitting, but that's not the goal. And you know, I want to list and flip. And so sometimes just list like, oh, I'm going to list, you know, it's crisp. It's winter. I've got time. I'm going to list the excess autographed baseballs I have. They're not a fast sell through, but it's a trickle, $10, $20 here and there. It's a trickle. Max says, people can't believe I don't have one. 1, time. 2, flexibility. 3, trusting someone you're going to pay minimum wage to handle your inventory and money when you aren't there. Nailed it. Absolutely. Mine is, I could make the time. Like time would not be an issue. You just have to, for me, I would just reallocate that time. But number one for me would be flexibility. Like you're chained to that shop and you don't want to half-ass it. Like you want to build it to be a good spot. You don't want it to just be a shop and half-ass it. And there are a lot of card shops that half-ass it. A lot of card shops half-ass it. And yeah, trust. It's really hard to find good employees. And then that trust when you're, entry level minimum wage type pay, it's hard. Rich says, I go to these shows and these modern Pelican case dealers talk a language I do not understand. John's got to run. Rich and I are aligned, and he has power of attorney to comment on my behalf. Orlando says, Bo is on a roll. He's just getting going with his auctions. And that's another thing. And yeah, Orlando brings it up. My business model is to sell fast. And do I need to make the most out of the Earl Campbell 1979 tops? Do I need to get the last sales are $6, $7, $8? Do I need to get $7 for it, $8 for it? No, because I paid 75 cents for it. And if I can list it for $4 and it sells immediately, boom, that's what I need to do. And auctions are a great way to do that. And auctions sell under comps all the time. I am surprised. It's what some do sell for. But a lot of them sell for 99 cents. It's like, damn. Oh, well, it's another dollar. You do a couple hundred of those a day. That's an extra $200 revenue stream that I didn't have before because I'm just running auctions. And I will be doing more of that in 2025. Probably talk more about 2025 strategies and what I plan on doing in tomorrow's show. Rich Klein says, oh, by the way, hit that like button. Our percent is terrible. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and visit my eBay store and help those sales end of the year push, 99centcards.com. Max says, Rich, that's because the hobby has passed you vintage people up 3 to 4 years ago. It is. It's a changing of the guard. And you know what's interesting is we saw similar in every generation. And I always go back to the 90s because I think that's the best era to compare. The boom. We had the COVID boom, and we're still in a boom. And when we saw that in the late 80s into the early 90s. And, I think we see it with every generation, with every new fad or product that's hot, now it's downtowns and kabooms are the big thing. And, what was it 10 years ago? There was probably something 10 years ago that all of a sudden took over. What was 2014, 15? There was probably something there was a retail. Well, was it 20? Yeah, probably around that time. There were a few products that were retail craze. Bowman Platinum, of all things, was a retail craze about 10 years ago. Topps Gallery, when it came back, was a retail only craze. Mega boxes were a big craze. And there's a certain portion, they're like, why are people going to Walmart and buying? Retail sucks. John says, I disagree with Rich in regards to hitting the like button. Max says, and by vintage, I don't mean cards. Holmes says, I'd rather eat dog food and live in John's basement than have to do my transportation job for the next decade. Amen. I bet living in John's basement would be fun. I think any of our basements would be fun. Although Low Roller Scratcher, I wouldn't want to live in his basement, I don't think. But yeah. Rich says, Max, I am old and proud of it. 6 months till Medicare. There you go. You got to wear it. Max says, Holmes agreed, but give me the dog food and I'll sleep outside or in the New York subway. Same situation with 90s shop owners and bitching about eBay, survive and adapt. There you go. Late 90s, eBay's killing card shops. You didn't adapt because a lot of card shops survived. And that was when I was making the decision to, should I quit my job and sell cards full time? You do the SWOT analysis. And then I also looked back at, what is this viable? Because we knew, and when I quit my job in 2021, we were still right in the thick of the COVID boom. And I knew when I was running out my long-term numbers, I knew that my current numbers were not sustainable. And so I've got to really cut down on what my current numbers are. I can't base my future business on 2020 and 2021 sales because that's just not realistic. So I looked back. It's like there's going to be down times. Guess what? People made money selling baseball cards full time in 1999, in 2000, in 2010, in 2015. And they did so, and they were able to ride the wave and survive. And I'm going to be one of those because there's going to be a time that things die down, and then we're going to have another boom. It's cyclical. This actual boom cycle has lasted longer than I expected. The bottom's going to fall out at some point. It's a freight train, man. It's a freight train. It's going to be hard to slow it down, but it will slow down at some point. Jordan says, man, look at us talking about grown-up card stuff and not oatmeal. Man, 2024 has been a roller coaster. I think I'm going to have me some oatmeal when I log off. I finished I don't have any almond milk left, though. I'm going to have to use water. So I'll have to spice it up with, I have bananas. Spice it up with my bananas. Rich says, the advantages to a store are the people contact and the possibility of walk-in buys. Oh, yeah. I think the walk-in buys, that's, I just from talking to I have a lot of card shop that's set up at the Madison Card Show. And, they'll have Tom, who runs Real Breaks, shop in Waupun. They also have their brother card shop in Minnesota. Tom had some, I think, spick and span from the 60s. Hank Aaron, Warren Spahn, Eddie Matthews, or maybe 50s. And I'm like, damn, those are really cool. He's like, yeah, shop walk-in. And it's like, those are the types of things. It's like, oh, man, like that's the best part. Gosh, now that I think about it, maybe I should open a shop. Christian, good morning. Uncle Rich says, no, I'm not going to. Uncle Rich says the downside is unless you have someone you totally trust, you are tied to the store. Yeah. And I just don't want that. Like that's I have a card shop. I own a card shop. It's just in my basement and it's by appointment only. So I like it because I can work anytime I want. I can go upstairs and veg anytime I want. I can sleep until 8:30 or 8 anytime I want. Max says TCG shops, there are massive incentives to have a shop, however, but I'm not giving up shows to have a static shop. Jordan says, yeah, the last owners that have shops, they say they have people walk in every day with stuff. And then on the flip side, though, it seems like if I'm spending any amount of time in a card shop and I can hear, if the phone is within listening distance, I can hear at least once a time, yeah, if it's anything 80s and 90s, yeah, we're not going to buy. No, your best bet is Facebook Marketplace. I hear that every time I'm in a card shop for more than 20 minutes. Shane says, and every one of those stores was run by a chain smoker who hated kids. Probably yes. Cooter says, brick and mortar have many fixed costs to cover, have to sell tons just to pay the light bill. Exactly. Cody's in the house. Good morning. It's his birthday. Hopefully going to rip something tonight. Happy birthday, Cody. And Cody, I showed him off yesterday, but Cody gifted me with some Cubs. Put them in my Cub stack somewhere. Thank you. Happy birthday. Max says to Jordan, for most shops I've set foot in, I bet I have multiples of stuff offered to me in a 2-day show weekend that an LCS has offered in a full week. Happy birthday, 608. Brian Wolf's in the house. Thing is, there's a lot that walks away because they don't have patience to wait to deal with me. And that's a downside too. Throw on top of all this the simple fact that nobody values person-to-person contact anymore. Everybody has an online shop. Uncle Rich says, I don't have a basement, so that would be tough for you all. There you go. Can't stay in Rich's basement. Jordan says, for sure it shows you. I agree. You get approached a bunch. I'm usually the one trying to sneak a side deal with seller. Max says, number one thing I would have as a service in shop would be consignment. Max says, Jordan, I have some people trained to come with me a TCG list, and I just pull out the cash and shake their hand. There you go. That's the best way to go. So yeah, 2024. Didn't really review the year, but my year, my numbers for 2024 far outpacing 2023. I had some better buys in 2024 than I did in 2023. Obviously, the estate sale was a huge boom to sales over the summer. I had some other bulk deals that went really well. And it was, I guess, if anything, the increase in sales this year. The increase in sales this year was, partly to do with some of the bulk buys that I was able to pick up, the quality in bulk buys, and in turn the quality in listings and the Goodwill pallets. I was able to get some really good stuff out of the Goodwill pallets, and we're not even talking about the trout because that's still here, and haven't sold that. Hopefully that's going to be part of my 2025 sales. But picked up some good stuff in the Goodwill pallets, some great bulk deals, a lot of quality stuff, and quality is what's sold. Liquid inventory. So this year to date, my net sales compared to 2023 year to date up 46% over 2023. My quantity was up 10%. I sold 10% more items this year than I did in 2023. So overall, a great year. So and hopefully even better. Now that I'm tracking these numbers, now I have some goals. I have some numbers that I want to hit in 2025. There's a question about consignment. Would you do consignment maybe 2027? It's actually something that I said going into 2024. I said there's a 1% chance I'm going to do consignment. There's a better chance I would do it now. And I actually had, and I don't think I talked too much about this, but we had a friend, and I talked about the vintage that my friend's dad had. And so they wanted me to take a look at it, and really, really good vintage, really poor condition vintage. Mantles, Aaron's, Mays, Tarkenton rookie, some early Jim Browns, no Jim Brown rookies, but I think a second and a third year Jim Brown. So some really good stuff, but the condition, they were ones and twos. So I took a look, and I went through and I comped a lot of stuff, and I think they were thinking it was going to be worth a lot more. So I said, based on comp, this is what it's worth. And, this is what your sales are going to be. And also take into consideration that if you sell it to somebody, it's going to be a fraction of that number. If you sell it on your own, and both of these guys are big entrepreneurs with no time, and they're dealing with big stuff, not baseball card stuff. So, 4,000 is nothing. So, so they asked, they're like, well, we want to sell. What's your, do you give us a percentage? How does this all work? Now, I've never done consignment before. So I said, if it's X percent, anything over this amount, it's a higher percent for anything under this amount, just because of the fees that are involved in the supplies and the time. So they're like, okay, we're going to pass. I'm like, okay, that's okay. Come pick them up. And they sat. I emailed, come pick them up. They sat. I'm like, hey, if you want to just sell these, like, here's, based on the number I gave you, I'll pay this amount. Like, I'll run it by my dad. He's just not, they're worth more there's more sentimental value than the price. And I totally understand. I probably could have offered him 100% comp, and he would have declined. And I totally understand that. When people bring up, and I've had people bring a binder to a card show, what's this worth? And I'm like, what do you want to do with it? Well, I want to sell it. I'm like, well, and it's, what it is. It's 90s. And I'm like, here's the thing. You're probably, if you sell it, you're going to get like $5 for it, maybe 10. it's better for you just to put it in a closet and give it to a son, daughter, niece, nephew, or just put it in the closet for another 20 years and break it back out, look through it. It's worth more. Even if you don't care about cards, it's going to be worth more than a $5, $10 bill. So would I do consignments? I'm actually going back to the previous deal. I'm glad they didn't take me up on the offer, because after I ran the numbers based on the time that I was going to be putting in, you know how I hate paperwork. And I was going to give them a spreadsheet with links to every auction. So there was full transparency on what everything sold for. It's like, Jesus Christ, like after all this time I spent, I'm not making a dime on this. So I'm glad. So if I had a better plan, I'd rather not. I'd rather not do any consignment, but it's not completely out of the question, but I'd prefer not to. Max says the only way I would consider consignment is 99-cent auctions or $50 to $1,000 plus stuff. And that's kind of along the lines of my it was basically the $50 and up, because most of the cards were $50 and less. There was probably might have been 100 cards, and we're talking there was probably, trying to think of how many cards were there, 1,000 to 1,500 cards total. And I'd say maybe 100 were $50 and up. And the most expensive card was probably 300 to 400. And so my plan was 99-cent auctions. And okay, the comp I had for you was $200, but it might sell for $150. It might sell for $100, might sell for $300. So I think for them to get the most money, that would have been probably, even with my percentages on commission, probably would have been the better way. But there's also that risk you take where it sells for 50% of the comps and I'm offering you, 60% on the deal. So it was kind of like that. It was basically, the strategy was 99-cent auctions. I think it was 20, I was taking 25% total. So I was, 25% included eBay fees, 25% included supplies, my time, all of that. You've got 12.5% right off the bat on eBay fees, minus your supply cost. So it was going to be minimal margins for me. Max says, then come get your shit or I'm going to start charging storage. Right. Max says everything gets auctioned how it makes sense at 99 cents. Then have a tiered list on commission percentages from there with a flat listing number, or only take in higher end items with a manual tracking. Absolutely. And that's pretty much exactly what I had laid out for them. Brian Wolf says I'm up 9.3% over 2023 net sales. Very nice. Very nice. It's good. It's good to see, others seeing the same, better years, 2024 over 2023. Also going back to compare my numbers, and I just want to see where I was at in listings, because some people will say, well, you probably have double the amount of listings. Not the case. Not this year. I think I'm sure I had double the listings 2023 over 2022, but I don't think that's quite the case. Let's see. I think it's this email. Got to find my Google sheet for it. Here it is. So let's go and see what I had in 2023 this time. So we'll just do December. So December 30th last year. So 1 year ago, I had 49,000, little over 49,000 listings. And right now I have 58,000 listings. 50. Come on, eBay. eBay's so slow when I'm trying to look at these reports. So my sales were up, net sales were up 46% year over year, and my listings went from 49,000 to 59,000. So I am getting close to 60,000 active listings, which I'm surprised that I'm that high. I thought I had sold more than I'd been listing lately. So I've got how many ending today? I've got 1,500 ending today. And I've got, so by the way, this is a good, go on your eBay summary, scroll to the bottom, and under promotional offers, it shows you how many listings you have, how many free listings you have remaining. So I have 0 auctions remaining, obviously. I have 0 of my additional 50,000 listings. I've used all of those. I have 3,645 buy it now listings remaining, but I have 1,528 still ending today. So 3645, where's my calculator? 3645 minus, what was it? 56 or 1528. So that gives me 2,117 listings, and I'll probably have, and we still have another day of December. So probably another 1,500 tomorrow. So I'm probably dealing with, I probably got about 600 free listings still to work with. Now, there's also like the break-even point. You know, you can list based on the next tier up. I can't remember. I think it's 2,005. It's around 2,500. What the fee is when you're paying. I can't remember what the fee is on Anchor Store, if it's 10 cents or 15 cents per listing. And then going up to the Anchor Store, you get 100,000 listings. Also, your buy it now prices after you go over 100,000 are going to drop, which if you're listing the right items will make sense, like I'm doing with auctions. As long as those auctions sell, you get reimbursed. That doesn't work with buy it nows, but it does with the auctions. Max says, eBay, I am down like 250% gross sales, LMAO. But you might be, I'm sure you're up in card show sales, or I don't know if you're on TCG Player or, you know, some other platforms. I'm sure you're up. Brian says 27.7% more items sold, started selling vintage commons this year, brought down the average sale price. What is my average sale price? It's a little under $3. Little under $3. Holmes 168 says, this is my first year selling on eBay, so it's been my best year so far. Lots of learning lessons, and a big shout out to the show for so much help. Hey, you are welcome, and glad to be there, and glad we can all help each other out. So we'll talk a little bit about 2025 tomorrow. Max says, I have listed anything on the bay in probably a year, sold like 20 to 25,000 or so. There you go. Rascal 30 says, hey, I noticed Burbank still has 1 million or more listed on eBay. Thought they were going to Fanatics exclusive. So they are. Let's see. I'm going to look because I have been tracking their listing numbers. Oh, wow. So they've got a lot less. So they're at 2.4 million. When it was announced, I think they were at like 4.8 million. So they're down 50%. They got half their listings are off eBay now. So yeah, it is not something that you just flip a switch, especially when you're dealing with 5 million items. You can't just flip a switch and put everything over from eBay to Fanatics. So I'm actually surprised they've knocked down all the way down to 2.4 million, and hopefully some of us little guys see a trickle down. Max says, may go to 1 day a week moving video game inventory there. Just need to make the time and space. And that's something else. And we can lead this into tomorrow talking about 2025. I think I am going to start listing some non-card stuff to build up my, because at the end of the day, I'm running a business. And like Rich said earlier, like, yeah, sometimes you have to pivot, and I'm not giving up listing. My bread and butter is $1.75, $2, $5 singles. Not giving that up. But I want to sprinkle in higher dollar items. And sometimes like I've got Cubs stuff that is laying around. I had a tub of autographed baseballs. Well, it's not doing anything for me sitting on a shelf in a plastic tub. I've got a bunch of other stuff that it's like, if it's been sitting in a tub for the last 3 years, am I gonna use it? Let's just move it. So we'll talk more about 2025, and that's going to be part of my plans for 2025. We'll do that tomorrow. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. I'll try to be on time tomorrow morning. Hopefully, I got enough sleep last night. I'm good to go, and I'll be up and going at 7 a.m. for Hobby Evolution. Like, subscribe, hit up my eBay store. Check out those vintage football cards I just added. Buy 7 or more at regular price. You'll save 25% off at checkout. Sold that Earl Campbell for under comps yesterday. Hey, you add 6 more to your cart, you'll save even more at 99centcards.com. Go check it out. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow morning.